want to get into a budget, I think you'd need to plan it. Some of the tips are obviously, if you've got a big purchase that you're willing to do, sleep on it. It's not something you need. Take a week or two to think about it. I always say never ever spend more than you have. My dad used to always tell me, live within your means, and that basically means that you spend the money that you have. Don't try and live like the Joneses. That's the saying that you used to tell me. Stick to a lower credit card limit if you had one. Budgeting to a zero. That's a great idea. And also what you can do is try a no spending challenge. So sometimes I think when we go out, we almost forced to want to spend money. So maybe what you should try and do sometimes is, if you're going out, try and set yourself a goal to say today's a no spending day. You can go to the park or just take a walk, and it can be a day where you actually just spend no money. um, Other things that you can do is you can plan your meals, do your grocery shopping online. There's a lot of ways that people can save. Even on your regular purchases, you can cut back on your luxury items. So those are all the tips and techniques that one should do when obviously setting up a budget. Stick to it. Make sure that you discipline in it. Don't go for the luxury items, and just make sure that you have enough money to take you through the month.
Mm-hmm. All right. And what are some points to include in your budget? How do you determine a budget that will be successful?
So there are various techniques that people use. I think the first thing is identify your spending habit. I think you need to identify all of the amounts that you have that are available, right? In terms of having a budget, you need to know exactly what you need to be spending on. So in the world of budgeting, there's a rule called the 50-30-20 rule, for example. So what this means is that 50% of your money that you earn should be spent on the items that you have to spend on, like the rent, etc., or if you have a bond, and 30% should be on the things that you really need, and 20% should be on the things that you really want and saving. So that's called the 50-30 rule. There are other rules in place, but you should have some sort of guideline when starting to develop a budget, so that you have some sort of guideline in terms of where you should start. Some of the tips would be that you need to write down or jot down some of the expenditure that you have within the month. Also look at all of that list and see where you can cut back. I think a lot of us take it for granted that we have monthly expenditure, and we just assume that that amount will forever remain that amount. Look at your regular purchases, look at your expenditure that you have, even if it's debit orders, and look at ways in how you can save money. If you have an insurance premium that goes off every month, maybe call around, find if you can get a better premium. Um, if you go for a coffee every day, I think maybe you should think about making coffee at home and maybe taking it in a mug with you. So those are all ideas that people can use in terms of having a budget in place and actually sticking to it.
Mm-hmm. How does one start saving money even when they are in debt?
Sure, I think that's a tough one, Miriam. So I know this feeling, right? So paying off debt can feel like it's your only financial priority. When you get paid at the end of the month, that's what you think about the most. But I think it's important that if you are in debt, one should actually do some saving, even if you are paying off your debt. So try to save a little bit whilst you're paying off your debt. I think even a small amount of saving can be a cushion in terms of an emergency. So that's important. It also helps you from going deeper into debt. So again, having a budget will definitely assist you in terms of achieving financial freedom. Financial freedom is obviously not being in debt anymore. So try in, and how do we get about this? So my advice would be to, when you're looking at your loan repayment, try to pay off your larger, more expensive debt in quicker periods. So you want to try and do it as quick as possible. So you look at the different debt that you have and look at the ones that are big and look at the ones that are very expensive, and you'll try and pay that off as quick as possible. Now, when I say look at debt that's expensive, you'd look at the rate that is being charged on that particular debt, and you'd analyze and see which ones are most important on that. Also, set a goal for yourself. I think even if you have debt that needs to be repaid, even if you set a goal to save a small amount every month, I think that's a great start. And at least it gets you to the habit of saving. I think the last thing I can concur on is, stick to the necessities and be disciplined. I think if you stick to the necessities and you're disciplined in your spending habits, I think it will allow you to get through to what you really need for the month, but it will also allow you to save a little bit at the end of the month, and it will also allow you to pay off your debt. So that's great advice, I think.
Mm-hmm. During the December time, we all get too excited for the holidays, and we forget that January is coming, and we actually supposed to use some of that December pay for the month of January. And during this time, January, banks see an increase in loans. So, what advice can you give to people who are considering taking loans for whatever use, and also loans to pay off debt?
Sure. So I work at a bank. I mean, I can definitely give you good advice when it comes to taking loans. So look, personal loans are available. They are out there, and a lot of us have used loans for various other items. Now, loans are available and can be used also to pay off debt. If one does do this, it's known as consolidation or debt consolidation. I think it's important to understand the profit or interest amount that is charged or attached to a particular debt or loan. And then you need to do the math, and you need to understand whether it's viable for you to take out a loan to settle a debt that you currently have. So again, I think it's important to understand the items that are attached to a specific loan. It's very easy to get loans these days. I mean, you can approach your nearest bank, but it's important to understand what the repayments will be every month, if you can afford it, if it will make life easier, and if it will actually leave you with more disposable income every month. I think if you're struggling to meet ends meet, and if you are looking for more disposable income at the end of the month, then it might be a great idea to maybe chat to a debt consolidator, or seek the services of someone alike, and they'll be able to guide you in insofar as whether you should set up a loan account to settle off some of your debt. If you do have some extra cash that you have available and you can pay off your debt, and you're looking to take a loan and you wanted to know if it should be a great idea, I think maybe look at other items that you can consider in terms of paying off your debt faster. So, for example, if you have a debt, if you can afford it, you can pay a little bit more than the minimum. So if the installment is 1,000 rand and you can pay 1,200 rand a month, that's great. It will allow you to pay off your debt a little bit faster. If you're in a position to pay more than once in a month, that's great. So if you can pay 2 installments in a month, that's great. Do it that way. It will allow you to pay off your debt faster. Also, if you have debt, pay off the most expensive one first. That will allow you to free up more of your disposable income. So if you have 3 different items, one is 200, one is 500, and one is 5,000 rand a month, for example, let's try and get the one that's 5,000 rand a month out of the way as quick as possible. So that will allow you to free up more disposable income. The other things that I can say is obviously keep track of all of your bills, and make sure that you pay them on time. Shorten the length of all of the debt that you have. And if you do have, and you are considering this, then consolidation, in terms of you have multiple items and it's just becoming too much of a burden, then maybe consolidation is a way to go for individuals who are looking to create more disposable income and have one manageable installment at the end of the month. So that might be an item that one could look for.
Mm-hmm. All right. You've already given us some tips, but I'd like to know more about behavioral changes that we can implement. But hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break and we'll continue thereafter, inshallah.
Sure.
Then speak so. Ibrahim, you are loud. Please talk softer.
Pains more severe. What if this was your child? The Al Imdad Foundation's Global Winter Appeal allows you to make a difference for refugees, IDPs, and struggling communities in 21 countries globally. Sponsor a winter pack today for just 600 Rand. Donate online at alimdad.com or call 0861 786 243.
For a long time, we've lived in a centralized world, where institutions held the all-important data and confirmed all transactions. Those times are over. Welcome to Libertas Group, a blockchain developing company boasting an ecosystem that continually redefines the way we do business. Our blockchain is decentralized, making it immune to hacking or alteration, putting the power back in your hands with no middleman so you can focus on the growth of your business. Libertas, the simplest investment choice you'll make.
Shimmer, sparkle, captivate. Nothing less than a masterpiece. Droplets of gold inspires precious design. Platinum bursts with intricate freshness. And every pure diamond becomes more than just a girl's best friend. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, where timeless dreams become a reality. Come to us. We tailor-make designer gold, platinum, and diamond jewelry. Trade in or remodel your old gold. Clad yourself with classy name-branded watches. We offer insurance valuation and freezer card calculation. Visit us at 534 Ridge Road, Overport, or call 031 208 9142. Voda Gold Gem Jewelers, manufacturers of fine gold and diamond jewelry.
Your act of love gives hope. Islamic Relief supports orphans and vulnerable children in 28 countries with food, education, and medical care. There are more than 150 million orphans in the world. You can give hope to one. Sponsor an orphan today. Go to www.islamic-relief.org.za.
Listen to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media, your humanitarian broadcaster.
You are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media with me, Mari Mukwanda, and we are talking about being money savvy in the new year. So if you've been feeling the pinch, if you are drowning in debt and have no way out, or you have no idea what to do, then you are in the right place, because Azhar from Al Baraka Bank, the Gauteng region retail manager, is giving us some advice and tips on what to do, especially if you feel like you need to take out a loan to pay off some debts, or you need to save up money but you have no idea how to go about it. Then you are at the right place. If you have any questions for Azhar, you can leave them in the comment section or send them to us on WhatsApp. The number is 061 766 0355. Azhar, shukran for staying on the line. Now, what are some day-to-day behavioral changes that we can implement in our lives to assist in becoming money savvy in the new year? I'm sure everybody wants financial freedom. Everybody wants to relax and, even if it's not on a yacht, but, you don't want to feel the pinch all the time.
No, I understand. I think it's important to understand behavior. And I think in terms of our behavioral changes, I think the first is track your spending. Any behaviorist knows that it's important to know your habits before you can change them. So I think it's important to understand if you want to change your spending pattern or your behavior when it comes to spending, I think you need to understand your behavior before you can change it. So the first thing you can do to help you is obviously track your spending. Write down all of the amounts that you are currently spending. And I think you really need to be honest with yourself. Even if it's smallest, it's down to 1 Rand or 10 Rand, I think they all add up. I think you need to track that down. And once you've gotten that down, I think now you can start going about looking at how you can change it. I think thereafter, what you can do is look at a budget. Try and stick to a budget. Look at the spending that you have to have at the end of the month. And obviously, the most important thing, as we discussed earlier, which is important, is sticking to your budget. No point in having a budget if you're not really sticking to it. Then the other thing is, in terms of your behavior that you can change, is you can cut back on luxury items. I think a lot of us have come out of the December period where we were all on a holiday and we were all used to the nice things that we've had on holiday. And it's almost something that can carry on through the year, and it can never come to an end. So I think we need to understand that we need to cut back on some luxury items if we want to be responsible and we want to make sure that we achieve financial freedom. Also, what you can do is find ways that you can save on routine purchases. So, for example, if you're the kind of person that takes a car to work every day, you can find out if you could carpool. Maybe you can chat if there's a bus route, and if that can save you money, that's something that you can do. Then that's great. I think even if you do regular purchases at stores for your groceries, I think it's important to maybe shop around, see where you can get a better deal, etc. I know a lot of us are focused on convenience, but a lot of the time convenience is not going to get you the best buy out there. So I think if you are looking to cut back and track your behavior when it comes to spending, maybe cut back a little bit on some of the regular purchases, see how you can save on your routine purchases. I think that would be great. If you've managed to save a little bit of money, don't just keep it in an account that doesn't earn you any profit. So my advice would be, if you are saving some money, immediately invest the money that you save. The other thing that I think is very important, I think if we look at recent statistics, a lot of us don't think of retirement. I know that we know that at some point we are, but we don't really plan for retirement. So I think if we think about the number of South Africans that retire comfortably, I think the stats show that less than 5% of South Africans retire comfortably. So it's really important that we have a retirement savings plan in place as well. That's good. I think be clear and specific. I think if you want to be smarter with your money, you have to know what you want to accomplish with it. So you need to be clear and specific. I think the other thing is if you have payments to make at the end of the month, if you have certain payments that need to go off, or to make your finances, so you don't end up going into your app or going into your bank to draw money. You'll always be tempted to do a little bit more. So if you have debit orders or scheduled payments that are going off your account for bills, that's great. It allows you to keep track of your finances, but it also allows you to be disciplined so you don't go a little bit overboard. I think the other tips and techniques that I can give is obviously read a little bit more about finance. I think a little bit more knowledge wouldn't hurt for any one of us. I think it's good to be au fait with what is out there in the market. Familiarize yourself with the budgeting techniques that are out there. Read a book. My dad always encourages me to read, and when I started reading, he always said to me that when I become an adult, when I start earning money, he'll give me a book, and the book that he gave me is called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think it's a great book. By Robert Kiyosaki. It obviously teaches you about financial freedom. If you can get a copy of that, that's a great book as well. And I think it's important to also surround yourself with the right people. If you have people around you that have spending patterns that are not in line with yours, I think you're often going to end up in a situation where you're going to be spending more money than you have. And know how much money you have available to spend. And I think be disciplined and stick to that. Those are the kind of things that I can say that one can do in terms of the behavior that one can implement in their life, in terms of just being money savvy for the new year. Those are the kind of things and the tips that I can advise everyone out there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, there are some of us who like to spend on impulse, and we have this notion of I have it now, tomorrow is not promised, or tomorrow Allah will provide it. What advice do you have for people like us?
So I think it's important. I think we all go through that stage at some point. It's probably maybe at the end of the month, you've worked really hard, your salary comes in, and you say to yourself, look, I feel like I deserve a reward right now, and this opportunity will never come up again. I think, as I mentioned earlier on, if it's a really big purchase, sleep on it, think about it. I think our mind often changes where we have a good night's rest and you've really given some thought into that spending that you have. But if it's a minor purchase, I think if it's something that you can really afford, then by all means, go for it. If it's something that can fit within your budget, then I can say yes. But we need to understand that there has to be discipline when it comes to money. I think the reward factor always feels great. I mean, if you're going to say to yourself at the end of the month, I'd love to go to a spa, and spa is going to feel really great. If you're going to be doing that every single month, I mean, it's not going to be financially viable. So I think we need to become a little bit more disciplined. We need to plot out for the year. Okay, yes, I'm going to reward myself, but how many times can I do this? What kind of rewards am I looking at? If I have money available at the end of the month, what do I want to spend it on? What kind of goals do I have? Have we jotted it down? And I think those are all the kind of things that we can have in place to ensure that we don't go overboard with our expenditure. We don't go overboard with so-called rewarding ourselves when it comes to the end of the month. And we do stay in line when it comes to our budget. So though it's actually simple techniques, but I think it will go a long way.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it definitely does. A little does go a long way. Azhar, shukran so much for your time and for the advice. And
Sure.
have a wonderful day and a prosperous new year.
Jazakallah khairan. Thank you, Mariam.
Assalamu alaikum. Baraka Bank's Gauteng Region Retail Manager Azhar giving us advice and insight on what to do, what to do to become more money savvy, financial savvy, especially if you're looking to become financially free. And just a word of advice from my side: multiple streams of income. Those are the few words that you need to remember and take note of. It is 11:31. You are listening to the Mid Morning Talk on Salam Media with me, Mara Mokwanda. We will be right back.